Daniel Ricciardo is going to Renault Sport F1 to drive alongside Nico Hulkenberg for the 2019 F1 season. That is the news this morning in Formula 1. We started off the morning with racefans.net saying that it looked like Ricciardo was going to agree a Renault deal, but that was just to be later confirmed. First of all, then we got an official announcement from Red Bull saying that Ricciardo had informed them that he was going to be leaving the team at the end of 2018. They had to assess their options of who was going to drive alongside Max Verstappen for next year. Of course, Max Verstappen is locked in for next year and beyond at Red Bull Racing. And then afterwards, finally, Renault came in with the confirmation that Ricciardo has signed a 2-year deal to drive alongside their current driver, Nico Hulkenberg. Quite nice, because a 2-year deal means, just like with the case of, the likes of Hamilton, Ricciardo's keeping his options open for 2021. Of course, that's when the major next technical regulation is going to happen in Formula 1. But for 2019, we've got these brand new front wings, simpler front wings, and a bit of a difference to the rear wing as well. And so that's the kind of next shuffle up. But the huge difference is in 2021. So just like Hamilton signed a 2-year deal with Mercedes, Ricciardo has signed a 2-year deal with Renault to keep his options open for 2021. He wants to assess where the Renault Works team are in 2021 and see how he wants to move forward. But that is a big move, and that is just like Ricciardo, a big, last-minute dive bomb move. You didn't expect it, but there we go. Because for now, the last month or so, it seemed like Ricciardo was a sure thing to Red Bull. That kind of fiery question of would Ricciardo be going to, I don't know, like a Ferrari or a Mercedes, kind of, got dampened out very quickly as soon as Mercedes confirmed Bottas there, and all the talk at Ferrari has been just between Kimi Raikkonen and Charles Leclerc. So Ricciardo, this came really out of nowhere, because even the Renault situation, the paddock at Germany, the German Grand Prix, all the paddock rumour talk was about maybe Esteban Ocon going to Renault. What would Carlos Sainz do at Renault? How is that going to work out in conjunction with Force India, McLaren, Toro Rosso, all these deals? But now that's all been pushed aside, because you've got one of the top teams now having a domino effect like this. Ricciardo to Renault. A lot of different reactions to Daniel Ricciardo making that move. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Daniel Ricciardo moving to Renault. Some people straight off of the bat thinking, what on earth is that move? That is a horrendous move, surely going backwards for them. And then some others, just saying that's going to be exciting just for the sake of change, and also, the long-term plan. That's my opinion. Is Ricciardo, either way, it is an unknown territory for Ricciardo for next year, because if he's stuck with Red Bull, with the Honda engine, that is an unknown of how Red Bull are going to straight away fit in with Honda. Obviously, yes, Honda have been going okay with Toro Rosso, but there's been signs that, Toro Rosso still have a few niggles with Honda, a la kind of the British Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly, for the first time at the British Grand Prix, was really, saying about the Honda's deficit in a straight line. And, overall, even though the reliability's been there is no guarantee that Red Bull will be performing as they want to with Honda. Yes, Christian Horner has said that with the Honda engine, they would still be where they are right now in the 2018 season. But of course, he's going to say that because they're leaving Renault anyway, and they have this very toxic relationship with Renault anyway. So you're going to spew out PR lines like that, saying the grass is greener where we're going to be next season. So we just don't know. You just don't know how Honda are going to be for Red Bull next year. Whereas Renault, yes, you don't know where they're going to be compared to the top teams. You don't know if they're going to make that leap up to match the top 3 teams for 2019. But what you can see is the factual thing of Renault making an upward trajectory every single season. Every single season since they came back into F1 as a factory thoroughbred team, they have improved season on season. And so I think Ricciardo has seen that upward trajectory. And also, I think what is the case is, I think Renault maybe pitched him an idea, kind of like Mercedes pitched Hamilton an idea. Remember the last time we saw a top driver leave their team and go to the factory team was Hamilton. Hamilton was with McLaren Mercedes. He then moved to the Mercedes factory team, and now he's a quadruple world champion. So I don't know, it's happened before in F1, but I think that's what's happened here as well. Half and half of Ricciardo seeing that situation, and then also from Renault's side, I think they've pitched the idea to Ricciardo, like, look, these are the plans we've got for 2019. We've got that new front wing specification for next year. Maybe they found some sort of breakthrough there. Or more so probably is they've got the roadmap for their engine for where they want to go. And by the time 2021 comes around, they're hoping they're going to be right there with the top teams. And maybe that's why Ricciardo signed the 2-year deal. He's kind of seen, okay, they've got some potential, so I'll sign here, but only 2 years, because I don't want to commit myself too long. So if you guys don't deliver, Renault don't deliver, I'll jump ship again in 2021. But if you guys do deliver, then I'll just stay. But for now, you're promising me maybe something a little bit better and juicy in 2019, so I'll go for it. And it's also a bit of a long-term play as well. It's just that long-term gain of, is Ricciardo really going to win a championship with Red Bull Racing? Honestly, for me, I don't think Ricciardo will ever win a championship with Red Bull. I think the way Red Bull's set up, if they do get to the top, I think it's perfectly set up for someone like Verstappen to go out and win his championship. I just don't think Ricciardo can win it with Red Bull. Whereas now he's 29, he's towards the maybe last third of his career. You know, it depends on if he goes on to like 40, like some drivers. But you know, he's in the last third or half of the career at least. He's not a young driver anymore, and he said it himself that he's not a young driver, and he's kind of worried in a way that if you'll ever get the chance to go for a championship. And I feel like maybe a long-term bet and one that might pay out is the Renault bet rather than the Red Bull bet, because you've got this Honda thing coming in. Yes, that might work out, but like I said, I feel like Red Bull have always poised themselves. I think they poised themselves in the last year or so to set up a Verstappen title challenge rather than maybe a Ricciardo one. But also, you might think completely different. I probably thought completely different beforehand when Ricciardo seemed like the better driver than Verstappen in the setup earlier on this year. But they kind of go, you know, hammer and tong, and kind of sways in with momentum swings for Ricciardo in the Red Bull situation. But it's nonetheless, whatever you think, it's an exciting move for the F1 paddock, because now it brings into question what is going on then with the likes of Carlos Sainz. What's going on with Pierre Gasly maybe in the Toro Rosso situation? Because a lot of people, surprisingly, to my surprise, a lot of people are quickly jumping to, oh, for sure, Sainz going to go in the Red Bull now. It's going to be a straight swap. But I feel like they're all forgetting how toxic Verstappen and Sainz's teammate relationship was when they were both in the Toro Rosso car. Remember, when they were teammates, that was not a great teammate relationship. It got very toxic at times. You know, they refused to let each other through when the other person behind was on a better race strategy. And Helmut Marko's been reported here and there to kind of not be in favour of ever having Sainz and Verstappen back as teammates. I don't think Red Bull as a whole want a toxic teammate relationship ever again since the Vettel and Webber days. And really, Verstappen v Ricciardo has been nothing compared to what Vettel and Webber ever were. And I even would say probably what Verstappen and Sainz was, because those guys flat out refused to really help each other out in certain situations, a la kind of Singapore. So I don't think that's going to be the case. And if it is, I think that Sainz and Verstappen will be put on big leashes. If Sainz is going to Red Bull, they'll be on a leash for sure. There'll be strict team orders probably about, you know, in the contracts, you have to do what we say. There's no ifs or buts. You can't do what you did back in the day in Toro Rosso. But I think the more likely option, because Red Bull have done it in the past, they've taken young drivers and put them up early before, i.e. Danny Kvyat. I feel like Pierre Gasly is in a very good chance of getting that Red Bull seat. He very timely tweeted out, literally as Red Bull announced that Ricciardo was leaving, he tweeted out about, it's a great first half of the season, 2 great points finishes, learned a lot this year, you know, and I think he really is going to vie for that Red Bull seat. And I think, personally, for me, I'd love to see it. Obviously, I know some people are going to say it's because I like Gasly, but if you follow me on Twitter, you know I equally like Carlos Sainz. But I just think it's more likely that Pierre Gasly would be put up into that role, because he's also familiar with the Honda engine. He's familiar with working with the Japanese crew at Honda. You know, he did Super Formula, so that's why straight away in Toro Rosso, he spoke about earlier in the season, he has a good working relationship. He knows how to kind of communicate and, you know, how the Japanese side of Honda kind of works and how they like to do things. And so I feel like Red Bull might want that experience in their car next year. He'll be the one helping out with that kind of communication and slicking the wheels of that operation. You just have Verstappen doing his own thing, and then Gasly can kind of learn off Verstappen a little bit. Hopefully, the hope is that a few races, Gasly can push Verstappen either way as well. I think that would be a good operation, and then that also opens up the door for another deal, because earlier on there was some thinking about Toro Rosso and McLaren wanting to do some kind of deal together, because McLaren have signed James Key, a technical guy at Toro Rosso, very good, well-known guy in the F1 paddock, but he's still got a long contract for Toro Rosso, and Helmut Marko said McLaren's going to have to wait a long time before they get James Key. But now, with this door open for maybe losing Gasly to the top team, will Toro Rosso and McLaren make a deal, kind of like a swap deal? Maybe get Lando Norris into the Toro Rosso, because Toro Rosso did actually make a play for Lando Norris around the Canadian Grand Prix. They literally went to McLaren and said, you know what, can we get get Lando Norris? What's it going to take? And McLaren just flat out refuse. Norris himself has said that's an option to Toro Rosso, but he would also ideally want to go to McLaren. But now that this door has been opened, do Toro Rosso get Norris in the deal of giving McLaren James Key? And so it'll be maybe Hartley and Norris. Hartley gets saved for another year in Toro Rosso because they don't really have any amazing talent coming through Red Bull. They have Dan Ticknam maybe, but he's maybe not ready for F1. I don't think he even has the super license points to do F1 yet, so that's out of the question. So it would be Hartley and Norris maybe. And then McLaren, they get James Key. And then there's been a lot of talk about Carlos Sainz maybe going to McLaren to either form an all-Spanish lineup of Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. That might persuade Alonso to stay in McLaren, to have that kind of camaraderie and kind of, same, just countrymen in the same team, that good rapport he has with Carlos Sainz. But at the same time, if Alonso just says, nah, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do something else, endurance championship or go to America, I don't know, just go do something where he can maybe win multiple races in a category. If he jumps ship, then maybe you have maybe you have Van Dorn save then, and it's Van Dorn in Sainz. It's all going to be very, very interesting, and in probably standard Arava and Pit Lane podcast fashion, as soon as I upload this video, like later this evening, there's going to be confirmation of what's happening at Red Bull and McLaren. If so, I'll try and make an update video ASAP, but I want to know your thoughts, guys. What do you make of the driver market now? What do you think's going to happen? Get that crystal ball out for you guys in the comments below, but also mainly, obviously, let me know what you just think directly of Ricciardo to Renault alongside Hulkenberg, and who's going to fit that Red Bull seat. Primarily, that's kind of the big question straight away, and then Toro Rosso and McLaren kind of deal with it later. That also, kind of small caveat, also kind of question marks, what's going to happen with the Force India and Ocon, because there were so many big rumours that Ocon was going to go to Renault, and now what does Ocon do? Is Ocon going to stay in Force India then? Is Mercedes going to maybe try and help buy out Force India a little bit with Lance Stroll? There was a question mark of, with the Stroll family, buy out Force India. Now are Mercedes going to step in and allow Ocon to stay in Force India as a Mercedes junior driver? Because it's all just up in the air, and it's great because it was going to look like, unfortunately, for a little bit, like I said, when the fire was doused out about Ricciardo signing a Red Bull deal, it almost looked like it was going to be a pretty dead driver market. But now, suddenly, it's ignited like that, and it's going to be very, very exciting. So, yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think. But that is the news in Formula 1 today. Ricciardo to Renault. If you guys did enjoy the video, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, you can subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Arava, home today, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.